I knew my marriage was in trouble the day my mother-in-law sent me M0 for not sleeping with her son. That night started like every other frustrating night in our house at GRA Port Harcourt. Ryan was in the living room, eyes glued to his laptop, pretending to walk, pretending not to see me standing by the door in a new nightie I bought just for him. For 2 years, I've been trying to remind my husband that I'm his wife, not his roommate. But each time I move close, he either fakes a yawn or says, "Babe, I'm tired." At first, I thought maybe work was stressing him. He's an engineer, always buried in one project or the other. But after months of silent rejection, I stopped believing my own excuses. No man is that tired every day. That night, when he turned his back again and muttered, "Good night," something in me just sank. I lay there staring at the ceiling, fighting tears. My phone buzzed. Bank alert. Nigerian Nari 2300. From Margaret Lewis. Ryan's mother. The narration read, "Take care of yourself." I sat up immediately. I checked it again, thinking it was a mistake. But it wasn't. She really sent me M0, and at that exact moment when her son refused to touch me. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I acted normal. Cooked breakfast, ironed his shirt, smiled like nothing happened. But in my mind, I was replaying that alert over and over. Why that amount? Why that message? And most importantly, how did she know? 2 weeks later, it happened again. Ryan came home late, avoided my eyes, went straight to bed. I didn't beg this time. I just turned to my side, opened Instagram, and within minutes, another alert. Nigerian Naira 1800. Same sender. Same message. That was when I knew it wasn't coincidence. I didn't tell Ryan. I didn't tell anyone. I just started keeping records, screenshots, dates, even the nights he refused to touch me. And the pattern was perfect. Every rejection came with M0. Every silence came with, "Take care of yourself." It was almost like she was watching us from somewhere. That night, I turned off the light and stared at my phone glowing in the dark. My heart was pounding, not because of the M0, but because of what it meant. Wait, I whispered to myself. What does she know? The first thing I did the next morning was drive to her house. I didn't even plan it, my body just moved on its own. Margaret Lewis lived in an estate at Old GRA, the kind of place that smelled like old money and expensive perfume. Her gate man, a tall man in blue uniform, smiled when he saw me and said, "Madam, you no tell me say you dey come today." I smiled back and said, "Even me no plan am." When I entered the house, the first thing that hit me was the smell of freshly baked banana bread. That woman never changed. Always soft-spoken, always smiling like she carried no worry in this world. She came out from the kitchen, wiping her hands with a white towel, and her face lit up like Christmas light. "Clara, my dear," she said, spreading her arms wide. "You didn't tell me you were coming." I forced a smile. It was a sudden decision. She hugged me tightly, and I felt her perfume, strong but sweet, like something that could confuse a person if they stood too close. She led me to the sitting room, told the maid to bring juice, and started gisting about random things, how the church women were gossiping again, how the fuel price had gone up, how Ryan hardly visited these days. She sounded so normal that for a second I began to wonder if maybe I was the one overthinking everything. But when I mentioned Ryan, just casually, like I wasn't really asking anything serious, something changed. I said, "He's been tired lately. Always acting distant." Her hand froze me there, the glass of juice halfway to her lips. She smiled again, but it was different this time. "Too weak. Too wide." "Don't worry about that," she said quietly, placing the glass down. "Some men just need time." Before I could even respond, she reached for her bag on the side table and pulled out a small white envelope. She smiled again, the kind of smile that hides something. Here, take this. Use it to buy something for yourself. I blinked. Mommy, you've already done too much. Oh, don't talk like that, she said, slipping the envelope into my purse before I could stop her. You're my daughter now. I'll always take care of you. She kept smiling, but there was something in her eyes, something I couldn't name. When I left her house, I sat in my car for a while with the air conditioner running. The quiet was loud. I opened the envelope and counted the money, crisp dollar notes, 100 of them. My heart skipped a beat. I called Ryan on the way home, just to see how he would sound. He picked on the third ring. Hey babe, he said, sounding calm, normal. Hey, I said. I stopped by your mom's place today. Oh, really? How's she? She's fine. She gave me money again. There was silence on his end for a few seconds before he said, she just worries too much. Don't make a big deal out of it. I wanted to ask him more, but his tone made it clear the conversation was over. When I got home, I tried to act normal, cooked jollof rice, ironed his shirts, laughed at something on TV even though it wasn't funny. But the question in my mind kept growing like a wound that refused to heal. What exactly did that woman know about our marriage? And why did she keep rewarding me for being rejected? Later that night, when Ryan was already snoring beside me, I took my phone and opened WhatsApp. I scrolled to Sophie's name, my best friend since university, the only person who wouldn't judge me for overthinking. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a while before I finally typed. I think my mother-in-law is paying me to stay away from my own husband. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. I stared at the message for a long time before hitting send. Sophie was online. The blue ticks appeared immediately. Then 3 dots. She was typing. Then she stopped. Then started again. Then stopped. I waited, watching the screen glow in the darkness, my breath catching each time the dots appeared. Finally, the phone buzzed, one new message. But it wasn't from Sophie. It was from Margaret Lewis. And it read, Clara, don't tell anyone about what's happening in your marriage. Not even Sophie. I swear, my blood ran cold. How did she know what I just sent? For a long time, I just sat there on the bed, holding my phone like it was something dangerous. The message from Margaret was still open on the screen. Clara, don't tell anyone about what's happening in your marriage. Not even Sophie. My whole body felt weak. How could she possibly know what I had just typed to Sophie? I hadn't even locked my phone or left the room. It was like she had eyes inside my house. I quickly deleted the message before Ryan could roll over and see it. He was still fast asleep beside me, breathing evenly, one hand on the pillow, the other hanging loosely over the bed. I turned my face away from him. That night, I didn't touch him. I didn't even try. By morning, Sophie had already called me. Her voice came sharp and worried through the phone. Clara, what's going on? What do you mean your mother-in-law is paying you to stay away from your husband? I told her everything, the alerts, the envelopes, even the strange message that came after I texted her. She was quiet for a few seconds before she said, Clara, this woman is hiding something. If she's paying you, it means she doesn't want her son near you for a reason. You need to find out what it is. Her words sank into my chest like stones. That whole day, I kept turning them over in my mind. Find out what it is. But how? Margaret was the kind of woman you couldn't just confront without her smiling her way out of everything. She had that calm power that made people feel foolish for even doubting her. That night, I made a decision. I would test it. I wanted to see if the M0 nail was really connected to what happened in our bedroom. So I decided to plan something special, something no mother-in-law could possibly predict. By 7 p.m., the dining table was already set. I cooked his favorite meal, coconut rice with grilled fish, and set candles around the sitting room. Soft music played from the small Bluetooth speaker. I even wore the silk gown he once said made me look too fine to be angry. I wanted to remind him of the woman he married. When Ryan came in, he looked surprised. "Wow," he said slowly, dropping his laptop bag on the chair. "What's going on here?" I smiled. "Just dinner. For you and me." He hesitated, looked around like he was searching for something, then finally sat down. We ate quietly at first. I asked about work, about his new project, about how he'd been sleeping. He answered like someone who didn't want trouble, short sentences, polite smile, eyes mostly on his plate. After dinner, I led him to the couch. I leaned closer, trying to touch him gently the way I used to. For a few seconds, he responded. His hand brushed my arm, his breath touched my face, but suddenly he stiffened and pulled away. His whole body went tense like someone had poured cold water on him. "Ryan," I said softly, "what is it?" He shook his head, stood up, ran a hand over his face. "Clara, please. Don't do this." "Don't do what?" "I'm your wife." He looked at me then, eyes heavy, almost scared. "It's not you. Please just trust me." He walked out of the room and left me standing there like a fool. I sat back down, my heart pounding so fast it hurt. I didn't even realize my phone was beside me until it vibrated. I picked it up. Bank alert. $20. From Margaret Lewis. The same message, "Take care of yourself." My hand went cold. I looked at the screen again just to be sure. It was real. My mother-in-law had sent M0 again, right after her son refused to touch me. I turned toward the hallway where Ryan had disappeared. Everything suddenly felt strange. The candles, the music, even the air itself. It was like someone else had been in that room, watching us quietly, waiting for that exact moment to happen. I opened my bank app and started scrolling through the old transfers. The pattern was too clear now. Every time Ryan turned me down, M0 appeared like clockwork. Every time I reached out to him, she rewarded me for failing. I sat there until the candles burned low, the rice smell still hanging in the air, my phone screen lighting up my face. My thoughts wouldn't rest. It was too much of a coincidence. I whispered to myself, almost afraid to say it out loud, "It's like she's watching us." At that exact moment, a soft ding came again from my phone. My whole body jumped. It wasn't a bank alert this time. It was a message. From Margaret Lewis. And it said, "Clara, I told you not to test it." I just stared at the message on my phone like somebody that had seen a ghost. "Clara, I told you not to test it." The words were still shining on the screen when my heart began to beat fast. I didn't even know if I was breathing properly. It was like the woman was right there in the room with me, whispering from somewhere I couldn't see. That night, I didn't touch anything again. I just turned off the candles, packed the plates from dinner, and lay down beside Ryan, pretending to sleep. But my mind didn't rest. I kept asking myself the same question: how did she know what I did? How did she even know I tried to get close to her son? It was too strange. By morning, I had already made up my mind. I told Ryan that my cousin Anita was not feeling fine and that I wanted to go and stay with her for a day or two. He didn't even ask many questions. He just said, "All right, take care of yourself," like he was relieved I was leaving. That alone told me something wasn't normal. I left the house around 10 that morning. The road to Willow Creek was long and quiet, lined with tall trees that bent slightly over the highway. The more I drove, the more my chest felt heavy. Margaret's house was inside an estate at the edge of the town, one of those old-style bungalows with white paint that had started to peel off near the edges. When I parked outside, her car was there too, neat as always. I took a deep breath, fixed a small smile on my face, and knocked. She opened the door herself. For a short moment, surprise flashed across her face, but she quickly covered it with that calm, polite smile she always had. "Clara. What a surprise," she said, wiping her hands on her apron. "You didn't tell me you were coming." I smiled back, pretending like nothing was wrong. "I was around this side of town, so I said let me branch and greet you, Ma." She stepped aside and let me in. The smell of fresh stew filled the house. Everything was in order, curtains properly arranged, center table polished, even her flower vase had fresh roses. "That was Margaret for you, neat to the last detail." We sat in the living room for a while, just chatting about random things. She asked about Ryan, and I said he was fine. She nodded slowly, watching my face as if searching for something behind my words. After a while, she said she wanted to check the pot in the kitchen, and I quickly offered to help. "Oh, no need, dear," she said, but I insisted. "Let me at least stir the stew for you, Ma. You've done enough already." She laughed softly. "Okay then. Come." Inside the kitchen, I helped her wash some plates and stir the pot while she went to answer a phone call in her room. The moment I heard her voice fade away, I looked around quietly. The kitchen was spotless, but near the door was a small drawer, the kind that looked like it could hide plenty. My heart started beating again. I walked closer and pulled it open gently. Inside were several brown envelopes. Some had her handwriting on them. I opened one. It was filled with cash transfer receipts. My name was on all of them. Each one had the same amount, $200, and the same note, "Take care of yourself." I felt a chill run through my body. There were too many receipts to call it a coincidence. This woman had been keeping record of every time she sent me money, like someone tracking an experiment. My hands were sweating, but I took out my phone to snap one or two for evidence. Just as I was about to click the camera, I heard her voice behind me. "Curiosity is a dangerous thing, dear." My whole body froze. I turned slowly. She was standing by the door, still wearing that small, quiet smile, but her eyes were cold. I forced a laugh, trying to sound casual. "Oh, I was just looking for tissue paper. I thought it might be inside here." She didn't move, just kept staring at me like she could see straight into my lie. Then she said softly, "Next time, ask before you open people's things." I nodded quickly. "I'm sorry, Ma. I didn't mean any harm." She smiled again, but it didn't reach her eyes. "It's fine. Come and taste this too," I added a little crayfish. I followed her back to the gas cooker, but I could barely swallow the spoon she offered me. I just wanted to leave. So I pretended to get a call and said my cousin was asking for something urgent. She smiled and walked me to the door, still calm, still polite. As I got into my car, she said, "Safe journey, Clara. Drive carefully. And don't worry too much about things you don't understand yet." The "yet" part stayed in my ears all through the drive back. When I got home, Ryan was on the couch, talking on the phone. I was about to enter the room when I heard him say, "Mom, please don't start this again." I stopped right there and pressed my ear close to the door. His voice dropped lower, but I caught a few words. "No, she doesn't know anything yet." "I'm trying, Mom, please don't." I quickly brought out my phone and opened the recorder. My hands weren't steady, but I pressed record and held it close to the crack of the door. And just as I did, I heard her voice, Margaret's, faint but clear through the phone speaker, saying something that made my blood run cold. She said, "Then you know what will happen if she ever finds out the truth." I froze when I heard her voice on the phone. "Don't let him touch you tonight either," she whispered. "Check your account in 10 minutes. Before I could respond, the line went dead. My heart pounded like a drum in my chest. What kind of mother would pay her son's wife not to be with him? Kelvin came out of the bathroom, smiling in that gentle way that used to melt my heart. But that night, his smile felt heavy. First, who was that? He asked. I quickly slipped my phone under the pillow. Just my sister, I lied. He nodded, but the look in his eyes told me he didn't believe me. Later that night, I pretended to sleep while Kelvin scrolled through his own phone. Then suddenly, he whispered something that made my blood run cold. She knows. I wanted to ask who he meant, but fear glued my tongue. Minutes later, I heard him crying softly. Not loud, not broken, just silent tears that soaked the pillow. That was the first night I realized Kelvin wasn't the man I thought I married. The next morning, I received another alert, 200,000 Nigerian Nairas this time. The message came with a note. You're doing well. Please, don't stop. He must not remember. Remember? I murmured. Remember what? I rushed to call her back, but her number was suddenly unreachable. That afternoon, Kelvin's mother arrived unexpectedly. She brought food, smiles, and a strange perfume that filled the house with the scent of old memories. Where's Kelvin? She asked gently. He went out to meet a friend. She nodded slowly, then took my hands in hers. My dear, I know this is confusing. But soon you'll understand why I'm doing all this. Her voice trembled. Her eyes glistened with something between love and guilt. Then she said the words that shattered me completely. My son died 3 years ago. The man sleeping beside you isn't really Kelvin.